and welcome to the Merri-Cast, the show that puts you on the fast track to business confidence. The people I interview here have either given me my business confidence directly or inspired me in other ways. This week, I want to introduce you to Jackie Lapin. She's a serial pioneer, not only an award-winning author in both personal growth and sports journalism, but also is a highly successful entrepreneur. Based in California, she created Speakertunity, which helps authors and speakers find speaking opportunities in their market. To me, though, Jackie is always on the go, and when I met her for the first time a couple of years ago, I was bowled over by her energy. So when I got the chance to interview her properly recently, I had to ask her, what made her the way she is?
It goes all the way back to the point when I'm 11 years old. Well, I'm going to go back further than that. When I was 4, my father had cancer, and fortunately he survived, but it was a near thing. And he was financially wiped out, so we needed to move another part of the state to start all over again. And when we got there, we found that the community was extremely unwelcoming. And probably those listening to this will remember what it's like themselves to be outlanders. So I really was all alone for my childhood, and I wanted something in my very own unique voice. And so I married my 2 favorite things, the Los Angeles Dodgers and writing, and said at the age of 11 that I was going to be a sports writer. Now, there were no women sports writers. This was my own vision. It was my passion. And as I say, success is the best revenge. At 20, I was at the Detroit Free Press. 21, I was at the Associated Press and on the front pages of the LA Times. And 22, I was at the Washington Post. So I really, managed to live my dream very early. And from there, I realized that I could segue into a related business, the public relations business. And my passion was to have my own PR agency that specializes ultimately in sports, special events, and entertainment. And I went on to have one of the 2 largest in the United States. And with a world-class client list. We're talking, Toyota Motorsports and the Golf Channel and Showtime and Frank Boxing and the Golf Channel and the National Hockey League. And I can go. And the last thing I did was launch the worldwide poker phenomenon with the World Poker Tour. I played in a very big sandbox for a very long time, about 20 years. And it was very exciting to open up Sports Illustrated or CNN and see the handiwork of my team and myself. And so I did that until the point when the media had started to change dramatically. And it really became very challenging to get publicity for people. And it was all going to social media. About that time, I wrote 2 books on personal growth, The Art of Conscious Creation, How You Can Transform the World, and Practical Conscious Creation, Daily Techniques to Manifest Your Desires. This was something I was called to do, essentially. And the second book was the best spiritual book of the year at the International New Age Trade Show. But in the process of doing that, 2 things happened. One, I built a massive database of, at that time, internet radio shows and broadcasts. Nobody had ever done that before, to combine the 2 to launch my book. And thought to myself, gee, other people can use this. And then realized at the same time that my heart lay with the people that were making the world a better place, that were somehow using their knowledge to improve somebody else's life. And so that's when I completely rebranded the company to Conscious Media Relations. And that's when we started doing the radio podcast tour. And you've heard the rest of the story.
And it's a fascinating sort of path that you're painting here. As you went into journalism, though, to start with, I mean, was it journalistic skills that helped you? Was it a lot of really good journalists that I've come across in my journalist career? They're great networkers. They see the power of the network, and so you obviously did that in the sports field and obviously had a lot of success. But is that related to what you then went on to do? Was that the skill or not at all?
The skill, the gift that I was given is my ability to write. And that has been a constant theme through everything. It is what has sustained my multiple careers. I call myself a serial pioneer because I have broken barriers everywhere that I've been, doing businesses that nobody else does. And so the writing is the thing that has underlined all of that. I could not have sustained any of those careers without the strength of my writing. Now, the second skill that I have is really, there's 2 of them. Probably the strongest, if you ever saw my astrological chart, you'd find it very unique. It has what they call quintiles on it, and that's 72-degree angles between planets. And it has a lot of them. And what that sign is a sign of integration. I can take one thing from here and one thing from here and marry it together. And that's what I've done my whole life. I'm a right brain, left brain. I love data, which is how we build all these massive directories for Speakertunity. But I'm also a creative. I can go out and I can create the landing pages, the copy, the marketing, and of course, when we do radio podcast tours, it's the pitch letter. I tell people that I capture your book, your mission, your message, and your soul in a page and a half. And so it's really a synthesis of being able to intuit all of those things and bring them together. And that's what I think that my strength is to have a tremendous insight into what pairs with what and how to make something special of that.
Now you're integrating skills, if you like. I can really relate to what you're saying because I was a journalist, and then for me, narrow journalism was not enough. I had to go into setting up my own business and to consulting, and I used earlier skills that I had. I graduated sort of in maths and economics to start with. So I know these integrating skills that you're talking about and the ability. I mean, I think I'm not a patch on you. I mean, you seem to have sort of taken it to a whole new level that I can only admire. But when you develop the sort of personal growth side of your journalism, was that a deliberate thing in terms of I've evolved, I'm good at certain things, I've integrated? Was it a conscious thing but how can I grow further? How can I grow further to grow my business? Or was it just a separate thing, a sort of a passion, a hobby on the side?
No, it was more than a passion. It was, how do you call it? It was a calling. It was a calling. I saw a message that this was prior to The Secret coming out. We kind of, the universe gives people the same similar messages at the same time. I saw a message that wasn't being delivered, that our thoughts and our emotions really can impact our future, the way the energy works. It was very apparent to me. And I saw that there were people who needed that message. And so I sat down to write it. And it really flowed. I wrote it under a tree in my backyard to a large extent over just a few weeks, except the science chapter took me a long time to do the research. The quantum physics wasn't easy when I was initially doing this, and most people had never heard about quantum physics and how it impacts the personal growth. Now, of course, it's everywhere. And so that's what drove me. It wasn't an attempt just to grow my own personal growth. It was an outgrowth of my own personal growth more than anything else. And I still teach that on occasion and lecture on it, and I use it in my daily life.
I mean, it's quite clear, your network. I mean, I just see it, all those emails that come into my inbox and the amount of reach and contacts that you have and so on. I mean, is it overwhelming for you? There's so much, so many people in the field and so on, or is that not a problem for you? You don't have that feeling of overwhelm. So a lot of entrepreneurs almost sort of limit themselves by suddenly thinking there are too many opportunities and I don't know what to do next.
Well, first of all, being the world's most organized human being, everything is in lists here. So I keep track of everybody I meet. I organize them into how and where I want to deal with them. These are potential affiliates. These are potential clients. These are people who are members and clients of our programs. And yes, I do a ton of networking. In fact, I have a virtual networking directory of 300 virtual networking events, 75 just for women. And I have frequented a lot of them over time. Now, at this point, with my time being much more limited, I have a right hand. I hired a longtime friend of mine to be my number two. Well, she's more than that. She's my alter ego. And Kelly now goes to a lot of those meetings that I don't have to go to, but we still track everybody we meet. So, for example, if I do a virtual networking, everybody I meet at that event goes into my list with their email and their phone number. So if I need to know how to get a hold of them or when I met them, it's going to be right there at my fingertips. So as long as everything is organized and you control the flow of information, you prevent the overwhelm. If you just do a haphazard, if you just do, well, I'll do this today and you can get overwhelmed. But if you say, okay, these are the tasks for this week, these are the tasks for these weeks, this we can put on the back burner for the next 2 months until we get our launch done. And it works really well. And a lot of times I'll say to people when they want to meet with me, I'd love to meet with you, but please pick something on my calendar in the end of August, because I don't want to overwhelm myself right now. And here's a really important key. If you need quiet time to think and strategize and do whatever it is you do, block it on your calendar link. Don't let anybody invade that space. For example, I just blocked Monday of next week. I have stuff I got to get done. I don't want people on that date. So protect your think time, protect your work time that you need to do to get things done so you don't get further behind. Yes, you need to be networking. Yes, you need to be doing prospecting. And if there's somebody that's really urgent, like you got to get this person in right now because they're going to pay you money and you don't want to lose it. Yeah, sure, you can invade your time, but only do that one meeting that day.
It's something that I say a lot to those people I mentor, is that you owe it to yourself to be well organized. If you're to give yourself the best possible opportunity to be well organized. I'm saying it though as somebody who has learned that. It's not something that came naturally earlier in my career. Is that something that you had from young Jackie Lapin at a very early age? Is it something that's always been there?
Let me tell you a story, and this will tell you. When I was 4 years old and my father owned a tire business, he would sometimes take me to work because my mother had to run errands, and there was a big Coke machine there. You remember how Cokes with the little tops on the, and so he would take all the Coke tops, the bottle tops, and he would dump them into my little tire playpen, and I would organize them by brand. My brain works like that. It's just the way I am. And I get that other people aren't like that, but it is a skill you can learn. And here's the most important part of this. Do it in such a way that it works for you. For example, I always have a second screen open. And that second screen is where I record everything. And the other thing that we do is we put it on Google Docs so that not only can I access it, but my team can access it if they need it. And the good news, and of course, I download it to my hard drive periodically. So we, if anything ever happens, we got it. But it's an ongoing document. It is constantly growing, and I never lose anything. I'm the same way with my clothes closet. Everything is organized by type of clothes and color. So I do not lose time trying to find something. That is a waste of brain power and time.
Yeah.
If I know where it's going to find, if I know what list it's going to be on, for example, just perfect example, we're doing an interview here. I have a list of every interview I've done over the last several years, because at 70, I don't remember what I'm supposed to talk about in any one interview. What did I promise to deliver? I can't remember. What's the freebie I'm going to talk about in that interview? So I go to that list that I keep and I say, I'm doing 5 steps to get on more speakers, conference stages to this one. And this one is 10 speaker bookings in 10 days. I don't have to think about it. It's right there, and I can use it as a reference. So I cannot urge people enough to set up systems that work for them, that are time saving, and not only do tracking your contacts, but your CRM and all the different technologies that you need to make your life easier. And if you're going to be directing staff, that's going to be consistent across all parties.
One specific question on that I'm just dying to ask, because I get a lot of questions about it myself, is that this kind of blocking off for writing time. I totally do that myself and so on. But what about when you're in the middle of that writing zone and the thought, oh yes, I must remember to do this, I must remember to do that, pops into your head, as it inevitably will, in the middle of your so-called sacred writing time? How do you deal with that sort of thing without getting off track?
I have a simple little system. It's called Post-it notes. I have an ongoing Post-it notes that say things I have to do right away, or things I need to do tomorrow, or I need to add this to this or another. So I've just put it on a little Post-it note with, the day's notes, and then transfer it to wherever I need to do, or cross it off if I get it done, so that I don't distract myself from the other stuff I need to do.
Now, I see you as a sort of, energetic sort of force of nature, sort of working in this area. But what about these things you've talked about, and the integration skills and the writing skills and the organizational skills, things that come naturally or things that you've learned? What are you not so good at? What's always been a blocker for you? Well, things that have helped you, that have stopped you, or maybe things that did stop you, which you've since learned to master?
Okay, so my biggest challenge as an early stage entrepreneur was one to a large extent, my father was an entrepreneur, but to a large extent, I was self-taught. But I was also a pretty strong personality, because I've been a woman that had to make my way all my life on my own to a large extent. And one of the things that I discovered about myself is that I could be a pretty challenging boss to work for. because if I wanted it done, I wanted it done my way. And if somebody screwed up, I was going to make them know that in the effort, in the intention of getting it right, and my team knew that I loved them. They knew that I was kind at my base, but I didn't show it when I would explode and let my temper get the best of me. And what I learned is that you can get everything you want by being kind and compassionate. Somebody brought it to my attention that I was not conscious of how I was acting in the world. And so I basically went on a long quest to transform my ability to be in a much greater state of compassion, kindness, thoughtfulness when I'm dealing with other people. And when things go wrong, I may still be upset, but I try not to take it out on people. And I offer my advice, wisdom, corrections in a much different manner than I did then. And that took a lot of challenges. And I'm still not perfect at it. I still put me up against some customer rep at a company who is just being an idiot. And my temper will flare. But the majority of the time, I try to really walk in the other person's shoes and say, okay, how can I express this in a way that's going to help them understand, me get what I want, and keep everybody's blood pressure at a very even keel.
And the moment you realized that, whether that was in a particular moment or over a period of time, I mean, did you sort of instantly feel the business changing, if you like, that suddenly the way you were approaching those sorts of situations either made you feel better about yourself or improve the way you were seen in the business or by colleagues or clients?
All of the above, but I don't think it was overnight. Sometimes it would be overnight when I'd look and think, oh, that worked better than it's the other way it did. Yeah. But the majority of it was a gradual thing. And the thing that I am probably most proud of, and, I mean, this is not said to be bragging. This is from a person who felt rejected by my peer group for my whole childhood. It is very interesting to hear when I go into virtual networking meetings and to have people say, other people talk about me when I'm there. Oh, Jackie is so wonderful. She's so loving. She really takes care of us, and your products are so fantastic. And if you got a problem, you can always talk to her. And, she's just such a fabulous and loving human being. It's like, is that me? Is that me that they're talking about? And it's so really gratifying to find that the years of working on myself have paid off to the point where other people see me as a loving and supportive person.
There have been obviously sort of learning points in your life, but I mean, has confidence ever been one of them? I mean, a lot of the things that I come up against are people who have self-limiting beliefs about themselves in terms of how they develop on their entrepreneurial journey. They become almost like the bottle stopper in their own growth. I mean, is confidence inside you been something that you've always had, or has your passion for personal growth sort of actually helped to bring you more confidence? I mean, again, it's a sort of nature versus nurture kind of question.
I think confidence is partly a factor of how strong you feel about where you are in what you're doing at that particular moment. I mean, was I confident when I first started going on stages? No, but I knew what I was talking about and felt that, I had something to deliver. I mean, there are times, and of course you look at yourself, you look at other people in the industry and you think, well, gee, I'm not there yet. And certainly your own self-esteem and confidence is not necessarily a given. But I will say that here's the one thing I always knew about myself, that I have a really good brain. And if all else fails, I could always rely on my brain to work me out of a situation and into a better situation. And that sense of confidence is something that's with you your whole life. If I know that I have an ability to reason and problem solve, it may not be the ideal situation, but I don't need to sit here and wallow for very long. And something my mother used to say about me, which was really interesting. Sometimes with people, there are three kinds of people. There are three people who wallow and see themselves as a victim permanently. On the other end of the scale are those people who just pick themselves up right away and just start moving on. And I'm sort of in the middle. She says, you're like a cat with it. You throw it, you land on its back, you wail and cry and scream, and then you get up and walk away. I give myself a few minutes to feel sorry for myself, and then I pick up and move on, because there is no value in sitting there and just wallow in victimhood.
I guess the thing is that, we're all entitled to our feelings of happiness, sadness, rage, whatever it is, but it's what you then do the next, straight after, what your thoughts and your actions are as a result of that, how you respond, I suppose.
Well, and I think the same is true. For example, my energy, I'm a firm believer that what you think and you feel is, what you project into the world, and, the law of attraction is what you bring back. So there are days when I sit here and I'm in a big black funk, something is, disturbed me. And I can sit there and I can say, all right, if you don't change this, tomorrow is not going to be any fun. I have the responsibility to change my energy or live with the consequences. And so sometimes, I'm not perfect. I don't always go around in a state of bliss. Frequently, I don't. I happen to be a glass half empty by nature. I have to really think, okay, is this where I want to put my energy? What can I do that's going to focus me on moving forward so that I can feel better about things, move it and things into a positive direction, and see a hopeful outcome? And so that's what I try to do.
Jackie, what are you up to now? Let's come forward to the present. Sort of, is there something that you're working on that you're particularly excited about? I know that there's a project that's kind of launching that's been a long time coming.
Yes. Well, it's two parts of the same thing, actually. One is our conference connections resource. So if leaders want to get on conferences, we now give you a choice of 3,000 every month to go through. And I will say they're predominantly US and Canadian, but there are some international, and we're looking for more international. And if any of your listeners here actually have events they want speakers for, they want to put them into this product. And so essentially what we've done is we've aggregated them all in one place. If you're looking for speaking stages, this is it, on conferences, events, and trade shows. And you get the calls for speakers, the contacts information, whether it's live, virtual, or hybrid, if it pays you. And we know that because some don't identify. It's all there, and you can download it to an Excel file just of one of the categories that you're interested in. We've got 20 major categories and 44 subcategories. So you can just find the kinds of speaking gigs that are ready for you. And we've got 1,000 new ones going in there every month. So you want to stay engaged and check in and see what's new. So, and we put it together for only $47 US. Now, here's the cool part about this. When you come in there, it's a base part of our membership program. So you also get our speaker showcase where bookers can find you, and our speaker resource collective. It's kind of like a yellow pages, an online yellow pages for everybody that serves the speaker industry. You need to up-level some kinds of your business. We're going to give you the experts that's going to allow you to do that. Now, let's say that, conference connections is not your thing, and you'd rather have podcasts in the life enhancing space, B2B podcasts, just in the business space, or you want virtual summits, for example. You could actually get the base the base level of our membership with one of those products instead of conferences, and start getting those leads every month yourself. And then and be part of our membership program. And when you come into the membership program, you get offered the opportunity to upgrade to other levels where you get more resources and more products so that you can actually really be 360 on different kinds of stages all over the place. But you can do this in increments. And, $47 a month doesn't break the bank. So we thought that this was, so many people loved what we do at Speakertunity, and it got confusing to them to look at our massive a la carte products of resources. So what we did was we put it all into various levels of our membership program. So you can get multiple resources with one fee every month. And so that's called Speakertunity Members Only. And you can go and explore all of this over at speakertunity.com. And if you want conferences, it's right there on the homepage. Just click and you can get into it right away.
This sounds absolutely brilliant. I mean, is that an example of some of the things we were talking about earlier? The way you're able to sort of synthesize and integrate things down, something that's been a feature of your whole entrepreneurial career.
Exactly. I'll give you an example. Our platinum level, which is our third level up, will give you all these things. It gives you summits, radio shows, and podcasts in both life enhancing and B2B. It's going to give you a variety of other speaking gigs all over North America. It's going to give you conferences. It's going to give you 3 regional directories with thousands of leads in a particular market or region. It's going to give you specialty directories, whatever your niche or specialty is, you get 3 of them. It'll give you the TEDx directory. It'll give you our virtual networking directory. It'll give you our training programs. And we're going to do a once a monthly hot seat where you can come in and bring your questions and your answers. And I and my team are going to answer those for you. So we wanted to, there are 3 levels to this program. You start at the beginning and you could work your way up. And we wanted to make sure that if you really want to have visibility, if you are somebody that wants to get out there, and either you have a team to do this booking, or you can retain book for you virtual assistants to do it for you, that you're not going to have any reason that you are going to miss your opportunity with new clients. Because by taking advantage of all these, you'll be able to niche down into the specific client that you need to get to the fastest and the easiest for a very inexpensive amount of money. That makes that's $10,000 worth of value. And you're going to be able to get it for $297 a month.
Right.
So
brilliant. Thank you, Jackie. If people want to find more about you, and I mean you personally, you've talked about speakertunity.com. I mean, how do they get in touch with you sort of direct?
You go to Jackie@speakertunity.com and reach out to me there, or you can schedule a meeting by going to schedule.jackielapin.com.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jackie, ever so much for your time. I think our listeners would have found that absolutely invaluable to see basically your entrepreneurial journey and also the opportunities that you provide through Speakertunity.
Terrific. Well, Trevor, thank you for allowing me to be here. And all I can say is for you entrepreneurs out there, I have been there. I know what it's like. Just have faith and stick it through. And here's one piece of good advice. Get counsel from people who've been there before you, like Trevor, who can guide you on your path.
Well, there's so much we could pick out from that last 25 minutes or so with Jackie. And what struck me was how she adapts to new circumstances. When times change, Jackie changes with them. And she just keeps on reinventing herself. And she told us that she's the world's most organised person as well, and yet maintains that good organisation is a very learnable skill for everyone, and amen to that. And she realised over time, you can get everything you want by being kind and compassionate. And perhaps we all need reminding of that from time to time. So thank you so much for that interview, Jackie. And thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd love for you to subscribe, rate and review through your usual podcast provider. And if you want to find out more about the Merri-Cast or our business, Merri-Born Media, you can find us on LinkedIn or email me at trevor.meriden@merribornmedia.co.uk. Don't forget to join us for our next episode. But until then, thanks for listening.